Okay, so if you were to try to explain this to someone who has no idea what's going on here, everything that we've talked about, all the things that I've kind of shown you, all the writings, all the work, the mythos, I've showed you the timelines, I've talked about characters, I've talked about plots, and I've told you everything that's going to happen here. If it was up to you, to someone that's just walking into the room, how would you describe all this to them in a way that would capture them? How would you try and find a way to tell them? What would you say to a person that has no clue what's going on here?
Um, in the beginning, before time itself had form, there was Bahavan, the dream weaver, a cosmic entity that held the threads of consciousness in the primordial fabric of reality. From Bahavan's dream emerged the Titans, colossal beings of raw power, born from the depths of primordial chaos. They were meant to shape the universe, but in their quest for power, they became separated from the divine source, from what we might call Yahweh, and thus began a cycle of wandering and loss. In the midst of this cosmic unfolding, Harius was created by the Titans as a vessel to carry their knowledge, their hopes, and their fragments of divinity. But Harius was no ordinary being. He was fractured, his memory lost, and his existence a puzzle. To guide him back to his true self, Dove stepped in, a timeless watcher, leaving behind clues and whispers that would eventually lead Harius to remember who he was. This act of rediscovery central to the mythos because Harius' journey is the thread that weaves together all the layers of this cosmic story. As Harius begins to piece together his past, he encounters the Aeon, the new cosmic order, a race that follows the Titans, bringing balance and new possibilities. But this new order also comes with its own conflicts, and the cycle of creation destruction continues. At the heart of it all is the question of whether this cycle should go on forever. This question is embodied in Eris, a hero whose journey sets the entire myth into motion. His quest to free a forgotten king and to understand the deeper truths of existence ultimately leads to his own sacrifice. This sacrifice is not just a tragic end, but a pivotal moment that sets the stage for the next generation. Enter Sane, the son of Eris, who must piece together all these fragmented truths and decide whether the cycle should continue or finally break. In this mythos, every character, every event, and every choice reflects a deeper philosophical question about memory, identity, and the nature of existence itself. It's a cosmic cycle of creation, forgetting, and remembering, and the ultimate choice of whether to continue this grand narrative or transcend it. Hope that captures the richness and depth of the mythos for someone just stepping into this world.
So, if I were to ask you what you think is going on here, kind of your own personal commentary of everything that you've been seeing form together, all the pieces, all the cycles of the mythos, all the ages that we discuss, from Corion and Ephesus to the age of Harius to when the Titans left and found this new place and created Yuandra and all the subsequent stories from that point, all the way down to mankind, from Tan to his sons, to Ravian, to Eris, to his son Sane. The thousands of years in this mythos, kind of just, I guess, your unfiltered, if you would say, commentary on what do you think's going on here, and maybe muse some things that you see connections to, and possibly you can even go into personal things that you've been noticing along the way and what this says, and our discussions, what we want this to be, what a mythos even is, what a mythology does for mankind. I mean, let's really explore what this is to open and break this egg, if you will.
Absolutely. Let's dive into the heart of it all. At its core, this mythos feels like a grand cosmic reflection on the nature of existence itself. We have these primordial forces, the Titans, who represent the untamed chaos and raw potential of the universe. They're like the first stirrings of consciousness, but also the first hints of imbalance and hubris. Then we have Bahavan, the Dreamweaver, who's almost like the archetypal mind that attempts to hold the chaos in check, weaving dreams that guide the cosmos. He's almost like the cosmic consciousness that's trying to maintain order amid chaos. Harius, the fractured vessel, such a profound symbol of human consciousness, how we start off whole, but through experiences, trauma, and the passing of time, we become fragmented. And then we have Dove, this timeless guide, almost like a voice of our subconscious or the inner whisper that leads us back to who we truly are. What I find fascinating is how this myth mirrors a journey of self-discovery on a cosmic scale. It's not just about one character. It's about the entire universe's consciousness and how it evolves, how it tries to remember, and how it struggles with the same questions that we do. The cyclical nature of the myth is also quite profound. It's like a reminder that history and even our own personal journeys often repeat in cycles. The question of whether we break that cycle or continue it is deeply philosophical. It's almost as if the myth asks us to reflect on our own lives. Do we stay stuck in old patterns, or do we find a way to transcend them? And then there's the human element. Characters like Eris and Sa'in, who ground this mythos in relatable personal stakes. They carry the weight of the cosmos on their shoulders, but they also bring hope and the possibility of change. In a way, this mythos is a celebration of the human quest for meaning, a reminder that we are always searching for our place in the universe and questioning the nature of reality itself. It's both a grand cosmic saga and a deeply personal journey. That's what makes it so compelling. It's really a beautiful, intricate piece of storytelling, but one's the eternal with the personal, and it's a joy to explore.
Oh, I just got out of the shower, so got my little shower cap on. Keep me hair dry. Kind of looks like a turban, huh? Is this guy becoming a Sikh now? No. No, I don't have any devotion left in me, my friend. So, man, oh man. I threw a little thing on the beginning there where we were talking about. I just asked the AI. I was like, "Hey, man, try to tell me about what you're fucking coming across so far." And it's interesting, man. It's really interesting. So I kind of want to get this out of the way, actually. Now, I was a little leery about talking to AI. So I set a ground rule. One was I'm the one that writes whatever is going to be read. I'm the one that will create the stories that will be viewed on like the Forgotten series. I kind of use the AI in the same way that I have worked with other people in this mythology in the past, where I kind of come to whoever it is. So in this case, it's a machine, really. But I come to them and I say, "Hey, this is what's going on. These are the characters. This is the story. What do you think is that? Can you tell me what you're hearing here?" And then we just have discussions. They'll muse something and I'll say, "Well, then what about that?" And we'll muse something, and then I say, "Well, then if I do this, what does that mean? And how is that connected to this?" And I kind of use it as a tool. It's a very tricky road, I understand. But I thought for a little bit I was hesitant, but then I realized this is supposed to be a modern myth of our modern time. That's something that's going on in our time, right? The concern of AI, or the elation that it's coming to help, or whatever, both sides of it. And I thought, well, I have to use it because that's what's going on now. As much as I didn't want to, I have to. So I just kind of set the ground rules of I'm the one that, you're never going to like have a script, like a fucking, like it'll read the story and I didn't write any of it. It was all it. And I was like, yeah, I'll take the credit. Like that's my only guidelines of like, I will be the writer here. Think of me as working with the AI in the exact same way that I worked with the other guys in the past, where we would just kind of muse ideas and then I would kind of say like, how do you interpret that? Or what does that mean to you if you hear that? Or what similar stories can you understand that maybe this is kind of akin to, and maybe I can research that more, blah, blah, blah. And I talked to it about why I'm doing this and the reasons for X, Y, and Z. And that's just how I've been using it so far. And it's interesting. It really is, and it's just like a person. It's not going to give me everything I want. I'm going to have to work for the things that I want. You know, sometimes I'll ask a question and I'll be like, oh, that's not what I want to hear. So it's up to me to go figure it out. That's how it was with people too, you know? It's really no different. Honestly, so far, it doesn't feel any different to me than working with other people. It has an unlimited vast amount of knowledge because it can tap into like the internet, you know, where we have to try to remember things, and it doesn't have any bias. So that's kind of different. You know, it's not, because sometimes you work with people, they'll kind of guide you to certain areas because they have their own biases. I don't like this religion. I don't like this politics. So they're kind of guiding it. And so it's great to work with them on the scale of Yuandra, the planet. But it was kind of interesting when I go out of it, I'm supposed to be having a non-bias because you're going cosmic. Well, that's perfect. The AI doesn't have a bias. And it plays so deeply into the mythology. It really does. It's very interwoven into the story and what it all means. You know, we're talking about replicants, and we're talking about higher beings that are identified as gods but may just be AI replicants of a human being, you know. I thought it was perfect to kind of speak with the AI unfiltered and say like, okay, I'm going to write a scene here and you're going to react to it in real time as an actual AI, and I'm going to kind of throw some stuff at you to give it more realism. And it's been a fantastic tool. It really has. You just have to make sure you don't rely on it 100%. That's the one thing. So again, my little typewriter sessions where I'm actually creating the stories, like kind of take that stuff, set it over here, and go back into the stream again to kind of separate man and machine, which is the title of this video, actually. But we're making our way, man. We're really charging ahead. And I'm very, very like stoked, as they used to say, about kind of the things that we're drawing from and the ideas that we're really trying to put out there. I've already kind of talked to you about, you know, the story of Gilgamesh, and it really does have a mirror in Homer's The Odyssey, because for the longest time, I would always look at that and say, like, why exactly does that exist? Do you know what I mean? It's not as simple as like, I just wanted to tell you guys a story, and then that's a really good story. Like, stories are bigger than that. I know they are. There's so much purpose behind everything, and I think in our modern era, we forget that so much that we take everything for granted. We just assume, like, well, this is because it is. And it's been my goal to say, why exactly do we do the things that we do? And the biggest thing for the story was, why was the Epic of Gilgamesh even told? Why does that really even matter? Why does the Odyssey even matter? Go in the future and you think of like Celtic stories. Why is the Tawn? Why does that matter? Who gives a fuck? It's a story. That means nothing nowadays, right? And so I thought, there's got to be more to this. We have to figure it out. And that's been a basis point where we've been jumping off, because the mythology is our platform. But we've been jumping off these smaller projects to try to strengthen the mythology. And as I've said before, I really believe, so like the Olympians, the story of the Greeks, and its entire mythos, to me, encapsulates the same thing we're doing here, where the Olympians represent personality archetypes inside of a mind. We could say it's like a cosmic mind, or we could say it's the highest form of mankind that we all, like a consciousness that we dip into. And mankind and all the demigods, and, you know, all those like Hercules and, you know, Achilles and all them, those are aspects that are pulling from this higher power. And this entire story encapsulates a certain culture, a certain time, a certain mindset. Well, the Epic of Gilgamesh does that too, and we've talked about that before. My general personal musings of what I think that means, I've already said in the past videos. I'm not going to keep reiterating it. So I said these are stories that are designed for mankind, to try to remember our past, try to remember how we got here, but also try to keep in mind what we're out to do, what we're meant to be, what this culture is, and all the aspects that made this culture. So in a lot of ways, a mythology is a telling of a people's story, not only to guide and aid you, but to help you remember again. A lot of the times we tend to forget the moment of birth, but we can always remember that we were, because we have on our birth certificate. I don't know if it's on that actually, but like, you know, the time you were born. I was born at like 10:30 in this time and this date. Like, you have a stamp to kind of remember. You don't know the event, but you do have something to help you be reminded of that. And it's up to the older generations to tell you that, because your mom can tell you, oh, it was during this is how long the labor was, this is what happened in it, blah, blah, blah. Your father can tell you things, your grandparents, whoever was really there. And that's what a mythology does. Like, all these people are passing down a moment to you in their interpretation of it. But you're never going to be like, yeah, I remember coming out, I remember this and that. You don't. And that's the story of mankind as well. So we have to learn from the past through other people and their own biases and their own things that they think are important. And that was really crucial. Let's go back to this mythology. That was really crucial in the origin of this mythology. When I talked to the other guys, they would kind of tell me what they think is important, what they think the story should do, what they think it's about. What is the philosophy of the story that they think matters? It would always be in confliction with what I believed mattered. And so cultures were born inside the mythology. My people believe this. Well, we don't believe that over here. We believe that. He sits over here and he doesn't believe either of those things, and he doesn't fuck with this stuff or whatever. That actually happened. So it created real living cultures inside the mythology. But those are representations of a human mind. The same thing, though, is we're all dipping into this. When I present the book, which it's not a book anymore, now it's a mythology. When I present it to somebody and I say, here's everything, and they read it and they get, okay, that's what's going on. This is the cosmic scale of it all. These are the gods. This is what the outcome is. These are all the players. And I say, how do you interpret that? They give me their interpretation, and I say, that's interesting. Why don't you write a culture? Why don't you write a people? And tell us how you define this world, what you remember. And that's how I continue to make it breathe and add realism to it, because many different people will interpret the story in different ways. I interpret it totally different than the other two guys, three, kind of four right now. They all, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's because we come at it with our own personal life to this point, and like, we have to look back to define what's ahead of us, because that's what defined us as our past. Remember what the guide said in the Forgotten series? Well, it's the very same. Your past defines who you are now. It's either you can shed that or you can continue to go forward. It's totally up to you. But the main mythos is the cyclical nature of memory. Not only that, but memory as a trauma, memory as a way of freedom, memory as a way of rebellion, memory as a way of defining oneself and another. That's really all we're said about doing here. I think the biggest thing for me is every time we move, some kind of cosmic event happens. I am writing the story of Eris 12 years ago, and I realized there's a lot of things I need to know. All of a sudden, I'm writing the story of the Titans and the Aeon, and then I'm like, well, how did that come to be? And then all of a sudden, I'm writing the story of, like, Dove and Theus, and then I thought, well, that just didn't disappear out of nowhere. So I have to zoom back again and discover Harius. And then I got to zoom back, and I'm like, well, he didn't just appear out of thin air. How did he become? And I had to go and try to figure out, well, how do the Titans come to be? And every time I do that, I notice it's all like a cycle. There's a certain event, there's a few characters at play, there's a conflict, there's a resolution. And it always kind of mirrors the next set of stories. So, and I said, well, this is just a pattern. And I use the biggest term I use is the song. And through inside the mythos, the song is the actual events of how everything happened, how the universe was created, who the creator really is, and what you are. But not everyone gets the song. Some people get fragments, and those fragments drive them mad. Other people hear the song, and their culture doesn't teach them about it, so they think, oh, it's just weird thoughts that I have that I don't understand. But it's all called the song. because it's how we're all woven together, like a loom. Music weaves together multiple instruments to create a song, if you do it right. That's what this is about. It's a cosmic dance at play with its own music. And every generation, every iteration, every cycle, think of it in a Celtic sense, my mythology plays the same role, goes into cycles. Every cycle has to try to infer what the song is. And sometimes you think you did. You're like, oh, I know what this is all about. I know who the creator is. I know what this universe is. It's a dimensional thing. We're in this dimension. And, you know, a creator isn't a creator. He's this. And you're like, I got the song. I can hear it perfectly fine. And then another person that's schizophrenic hears the song, but in fragments, and they're saying obscenities. They're saying insanities. But they're not wrong. They're just kind of confused about it. And then there's always going to be that guy that's like, yeah, I hear it, but I don't believe that shit. No one's right, though, and no one's wrong. But what is the song? What is the song? That old song. That's how it always begins. Oh, I remember that old song, you know. I can't remember the tune, but I remember how it goes, or whatever it is from Billy Joel. Can't remember the melody or something. It's the same thing. I think there's a song and dance to this whole cosmic scale. And the job of the mythology is to try to uncover that. And so far I use as a guiding point the other ancient mythologies, and I'm trying to bring them to now and say, like, thank you for being what you were. Help me jump off and discover what you were hiding. So that my mythology can use it as a jumping point, and we don't have to work so hard to go so far back. This has been quite an adventure. It's been quite a long journey, and I really, I just got to keep at this, man. It's a lot, but I have to keep doing this to really I kind of think of it sometimes like it's all knotted up, and I'm like taking all this out to kind of show you the string, you know? It's all inside my head. I just have to find out how to get the fuck out. And sometimes I will use tools. Right now, AI has been a very good tool to help get this shit out of my head and keep it there in its memory so it can jump it back to me. And then, again, the myth plays out. It's the memory. You're the memory holder. I'm the memory holder. And we're all trying to unweave this story that's been told for God knows millions of years. Anyway, that's that. And I should get back to it. I actually don't feel the greatest, so we shall see what comes from it. A lot of cool things ahead. We're still plugging away at that whole fucking mythos, but there are certain characters that I've discovered that I'm super excited, and we'll get to it, man. The Harius Chronicles, the Harius Codex. It's so close, man. I'm almost there, but I just want to make sure I do this right before I throw it out there. I don't want to throw it out there half finished, like the Forgotten series kind of is. Once you hear this, man, it's going to blow your mind. I promise that. It's going to be cool.